right. Well, actually, it's afternoon. I was trying to say good morning, everybody, but good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. It is July the 7th, 2025, and uh, going to talk again today about Foodie Beauty, aka Chantal. Um, So the other day when I did my live about her, where I had compiled some interactions between she and Salah, some of his micro expressions, some actual domestic violence happening with the camera rolling, um, it, that was enough to sort of pull her out of the weeds, I think. So that was really great that we got to see that she's, not dead. That's always that's always positive to be not dead. Um, and in fact, I got to tell you, I'm feeling a little sad for Salah. Okay, yeah, this is a very strange experience. I've not really ever done this type of YouTube content before. Watching another creator and then commenting on it, like evaluating it or analyzing it and then having an opinion about it, it's sort of a weird experience. And I do stand by what I said the other day. I think that when Foodie Beauty first went to Kuwait, first met Salah and they did their civil marriage, um, I think he was abusive to her. And I think there's enough on camera recorded where he would have been at least on his best behavior, um, that I don't really want to know what happened behind the scenes. But then I think something happened. I think that when she went back to Canada to visit and he got caught having sexual like sexting and phone sex with one of Foodie Beauty's subscribers. Her name was Kybella, or is Kybella. And it was pretty awful. It revealed some fetish kind of stuff. It was also quite shocking. And this was the part that made me think that he is probably in with ISIS or Al Qaeda, or that he's kind of at least played around with that freedom fighter kind of role, at least in Kuwait, especially as like a young guy, like as a teenager and stuff, right? It kind of would have been cool to be a tough guy. But the reason that I thought he definitely fit that profile was because in the fetish talk, not only was there some really disturbing stuff related to bathroom habits, but he also was sexually excited at the notion of striking out against Christian symbols and Christian ideas, to the point of including, how like our soldiers at Guantanamo Bay and other places, how they were told that they had to respect the Quran and that every single prisoner of war had to be given a Quran and the Quran had to be treated with respect in front of them. I know y'all all remember that. Well, he was actually talking about taking our Bible and using it related to urination and defecation. Also using the cross and Jesus on the cross doing defecation and urination. So that is that type of thought, or much less to even voice it, right? To think it or feel it, but that you would actually voice it to someone else. And here's the coup de grace, that you would voice it and it would have sexual titillation attached to it. That is absolutely radicalization. So Chantal can laugh and joke and go, ha ha, like we're terrorists. Okay, girl, you're already revealing yourself to have been radicalized. Your newest video, you showed points of radicalization, and I'm all too happy to point it out. So, I think the thing that we have to remember with Islamists, and please know this, there is absolutely a difference between Muslim and Islamist. Military knows that. People that profile some of these groups and terrorists, um, contractors that work with the military, specifically profiling and learning about some of the individual leaders in these factions. They recognize some of the words that are repeated so often as they are grooming their prey, that it becomes kind of like a red flag. Like when you hear it, it's like immediately your brain turns on and you zero in. And Chantal's got a couple of those points in this newest video. One of the points, she talks about how there's somebody in her chat actually that she addresses a couple of times. I think it's someone they must know, and which is, this is what they do. They get somebody, they radicalize them, young woman, they radicalize them. Now they've got to turn them into a military asset, either running money or doing lessons online, teaching about Islam and 7 pillars of Islam, and that it, we've all heard Islam is a religion of love. So she appears to be, she may not be actually doing it yet, but she's beginning to sort of parrot what they're telling her, right? And so there was someone in the chat and they said something about that commercialism is a downfall of the West. And whenever this person says it in the chat, she immediately jumps to attention. She said, that's right. And I was like, man, they got you. You're so damn dumb. You are such a stupid woman. Like, they've got you. You're going to die over there, Chantal. You think these people are so nice, and if these people are so nice and they're so wonderful, then why is it there are thousands, tens of thousands of people in the United States and Germany and Switzerland that are all like spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day studying these people? Like, why, if they're so nice, if they're so sweet, why are there psychologists and psychiatrists and profilers all over the world? Why do we send in special forces guys undercover, dressed up like Al-Qaeda, speaking fluently the language, and they go in there to gather information just on one of your guys, maybe even Salah? Why? Like, if you stop for a minute to consider what it is that you are getting yourself into. So we're going to talk about that today, because she has got some very worrisome problems. And I will make another appeal. And all of you that make videos on Chantal, please make an appeal, a public appeal to her mother, Shmi, and her sister. Under no circumstances should you be sending her money. Not at all. None. You can send an airplane ticket. You can purchase, prepay the ticket, have it there waiting for her in Damascus or in Beirut, and she can get on an airplane, and then as soon as she's back in Canada, then she'll have access to every bit of money she's got. But don't enable this, because she's with a very, very troubling group of people. All right. Salah deleted all my comments about Foodie being in danger today during her live before she could see them. Right, Mississippi Mud Pie? Oh yeah, we know his we know what he is. We know, Salah. We know who you are. We know what you do. All right, so I'm running just a little bit behind. I've got a video that is uploading right now. Let me look and see how far it has to go. Oh, it's only about halfway. Okay, so we've got a little bit of time before the new video gets fully uploaded. So let's just go ahead real quick. This was a very boring video. This is one that she did some like some videoing, just recording, and then she went back and she pieced it, edited it together, and then did a voiceover. Okay. I saw a video or live stream yesterday and they just kept making fun of her and it made me so mad. Who was making fun of her, Lolo? I notice he sits there on his phone reading. Texas, she is never online either doing a live herself or watching other lives without he is directly there monitoring everything. Why do you think he's monitoring? All right. Oh, no, she's not going to listen to anything that I say. Well, here's the way it's going to go because it's happened 100 times before. Here's how it'll go. You will approach these women and explain what they're doing, who the people are that they are interacting with. And then they say you're stupid and you don't know anything and leave them alone because they're in love. Look how sweet their husband is. And you're like, okay, well, maybe they're really sweet. Maybe you really love them. And then you're going to go over there to Iraq or Afghanistan, Libya. Libya's had a couple in Libya. Or Syria is actually a really big problem. And Egypt, we've had some in Egypt too. But and then they'll say, you know, my husband loves me, he's wonderful, and you're just westernized and you're evil and you're controlled by Israel, and so leave us alone. And then you're like, well, it's the perfect FAFO. It's just a matter of time. And then after a while, then you find out that the husband has died. He was killed, either assassinated or maybe he was in a legitimate battle of some sort. And then when he dies, then our Western women are stuck along with all of their little children. And now they also have no man to help them. And then that's when the hell really happens. It's when it really starts. And the terrible thing is that these men have a lifespan of about 34. That is the average lifespan at this point for a Syrian man. Now that you got to be careful about that statistic because it is actually artificially suppressed. Because there were so many people that signed up and went to war. But even when they do a correction on the statistics, they still have the lifespan that most of them are dead by the time they're about 42. Yeah, exactly, Sketty Nona. So when they correct for actual legitimate battle between Assad and the Al-Qaeda HTS forces, they're still looking at like 42, even when they take out the legitimate war. So I do have an interesting website to show you while we're talking about this. Hang on just a second. Let me put it up. All right. Well, where is it? There it is. Okay, so this is put together at the request of the United Nations. It's an international consortium of information and news coming out of Syria. And there's any kind of information that one might need if they do work in Syria, or perhaps they're going to be doing work. And included, and you can see where they've got like all the human rights violations that they're working, that they're dealing with. They give you actual interviews. A lot of news people will go in and pull these various interviews up and clip from them for their reports and such. But the one that I'm interested in showing you is daily statistics. And in the daily statistics, I'm able to go in and tell it like what area of Syria I'm interested in. And in this case, of course, I'm interested in Daraa. It's Daraa. Western people just pronounce it Daraa, right? It's pretty simple. The actual pronunciation with that extra A at the end, it's like a cut off. It's an extra A, but you cut it off like half in the middle. So it sounds like you're sort of stuttering on the A. So it's Daraa. Anyway, so we can actually look at a daily accounting of the death toll. Chantal, listen up, girl. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to do you a favor. A lot of people have to pay for this service. You don't. So on July the 7th, today, it's not over yet. So we still could get more deaths. But today, in the southern region from Damascus down to Jordan and then over, which is all ISIL and Al-Qaeda controlled. They even have a corridor of free movement. I'm talking about Al-Qaeda and ISIL. They have free movement from the south up the east border, up all the way to Aleppo. So ISIL and Al-Qaeda are incredibly friendly with this president and this group that now have control of Syria. Bashar al-Assad, he was actually secular. The government was secular. They had a separation of powers. There were judges that operated independently from the executive branch. And of course, the Islamists didn't like that at all. And so that was what the big battle was all about. And now it is firmly held by Al-Qaeda. The same people as, al-Baghdadi. Al-Baghdadi and the president of Syria were very good friends. And then they had a big fight because kind of like the same way that Satan and God had a fight, right? And so anyway, today, still got a few hours left, but today so far, 6 people have died. Yesterday, 5 people died. On the 3rd, 13 people died. On the 2nd, 13 people died. On the 29th, there were 14. On the 28th, there were 9. On the 25th of June, there were 5. On June the 22nd, there were 32 people killed. June the 2nd, there were 11. On June 18th, there were 6. June the 17th, there were 11 killed. June the 16th, 8. The 15th, there were 21 killed. 9 killed, 17 killed, 29 killed, 12 killed, 13 killed, 23 killed, 6 killed, 21. Once you get into May, there's 8 killed, 9 killed, 15, 13, 8, 10, 12, 16, 14. I've made my point. Okay? So Chantal, you can go ahead and look right here at the SyriaHR.com. Just think about it like human resources, Syria, human resources. Okay. And there you can find just how many people around you are dying when you hear those gunshots in the middle of the night, sister. So, what we can do, and I haven't looked today, I usually look, but so we got 6 dead. Let's see how and where they died. And there's our reporting. A young man from Maraya in northern Aleppo was found dead inside his home 2 days after he went missing while he was what? Salah? Reconstructing his destroyed house. You know what I'm guessing, Salah? I'm guessing he wasn't one of the boys. You know what I mean? My guess is that he was just a normal, good guy who fled the country during the war and decided that he would come back and get his family home in order. And because he is not an Al Qaeda son of a bitch, they killed him because those houses now belong to the freedom fighters. There was a young man that died. He was shot in Misraba in eastern Ghouta. A civilian from Alawite community who worked picking tobacco leaves was shot in his farmland and bled to death. Again, Salah, that was one of the freedom fighters. If you're not a freedom fighter, they're not going to let you have the land and the houses. So the very fact that we now know that Salah is moving freely in and out of Dara tells me a lot, doesn't it, Salah? An Alawite young man was also killed in the hospital in City after 2 days being missing. There was also a member of the General Security Forces who was killed, Chantal. That's the guy with the guns. And another was seriously injured after an anti-machine gun accidentally exploded. Do you really think it accidentally exploded? A young man from the town of Gabageb, northern Daraa countryside, arrived dead to the hospital. They don't know how he died or why he died. They don't know any of that. What happened to my computer? Hold on, I'm waiting for it to come back. Okay, there it is. 2 young men and a child were killed in a fight turned into an armed clash in Daraa province. A civilian was killed and another was injured, both from Nafis. It's actually Nafis. I can't hardly say that. In Al Salamia, when an old landmine exploded while they were working in a poultry farm. Let's see. And then yesterday, there was a guy in Aleppo who was, we got that one. Those are the ones we just did. All right, so we're looking at the daily statistics right here. And then as you go down, we just did the July 7th. Now here's July the 5th, 9 people killed. And really, this is not like Western reporting. This isn't like CNN and Fox News with a lot of opinion and fluff. If you pay close attention, it's simply facts. This is the real, this is the type of actual reporting that people should be doing here in the West, and they're not. Okay, so a young Alawite man was killed by an armed Bedouin group and members that were affiliated with the General Security Service in Al Shahib village in the Hama countryside. There was an Alawite citizen killed after being directly shot by an unknown gunman near his agricultural land in southern Hama. A young man and a little girl were killed by an unidentified gunman at the Ain al Kuram Shatta Ain al Kuram Road in western Hama. A member of the Syrian Ministry of Defense died of his wounds after a military vehicle was attacked in the Hama Desert. A body of a fourth-year law student was found with gunshot wounds. He was dumped in the Namara Shava woods in Al Suwaida. A young man, the only son of his parents, was killed after being repeatedly stabbed with a knife many times and struck on the head with a stone by his own relatives in the village of Agharib al-Safaya, eastern Hama countryside, due to personal disputes. Don't you just stab your relatives to get to death? I know we do. That's just how we solve family disputes in my family. Somebody makes me mad, I just whip out the old knife, you know? Another Alawite person was killed by gunmen from the General Security Forces. Again, when it says General Security Forces, please understand that's Al Qaeda. Can we all just be in agreement? We're talking about the same group of people, okay? Interestingly enough, they opened fire while standing at the corner of his street now near Al Abbas Laundry. Oh my goodness, Chantal. Al Abbas Laundry? Anywhere near you? And then a young man died of injuries he sustained when he was hit by a stray bullet during a wedding in the Dara countryside. So fun, isn't it? It's just a little hard. But Chantal can rough it a little bit. She's been camping before. No trouble here. She's got it together, everybody. Don't feel worried. Now, I'm not going to keep doing this because I have absolutely made my point. And again, let me just scroll down. We're looking at a daily accounting of death. July the 3rd, July the 2nd, 29th, 28th, 25th, 22nd, 20th, 18. Now, the brilliance that is Chantal, she says, well, it's really bad. It's not a good thing, but it's just like we have like shootings in the United States all the time. Like there's always school shootings, right, Chantal? Hold on. I'm going to show you. First, I want you to see a map. Hang on. Where's my map? There it is. All right. Okay, so here is my map. This is for Chantal. Are you listening, honey? I know you're smarter than me. I know you're smarter than the government of Canada. You're smarter than the people that run the embassies. You're smarter than the United States of America Intelligence Service. But just humor me, Chantal. Here is an accurate portrayal. Yes, St. Elmo, this is fine. This is an accurate amount if you compare the size of Texas to the size of Syria. I just want to be clear, okay? This is actually accurate in size, Chantal. What that means is the gray Texas outline, that's the true outline in proportion to the outline that you're seeing of Syria. Now, I have a reason for starting by showing you this. you see, here's Aleppo, and it takes around 4 hours to get to Damascus, which is right about down here. And then Dara, the area that they're in, is about an hour and a half, 2 hours south going towards Jordan. And then Iraq is the east coast, or not coast, but the eastern border. So Aleppo is 4 hours to Damascus. Damascus another 2 hours. That is 6 hours to get from the north to the south. Do you know that it takes 13 hours to get across Texas? Now, I have a reason for showing you this, okay? So if you imagine right here, and you see this little piece of Syria here, if I could just cut that off and I could stick it down here, then you would see an actual proportion of how much of Syria's land mass is in proportion to Texas land mass. And what I can't help but notice is how many metropolitan urban centers in Texas are inside of what would be the Syria area. Houston, Galveston, maybe, there is a Lufkin, there's Nacogdoches, millions of people, far more than what are in Syria, meant by like 6 times. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, this wouldn't even include like Dallas. So this comparison that you're telling us, it's fine that all these people are dying in Syria, because people die in the United States all the time, every day, right? Surely, I mean, really, it's got to be true that Texas, where, you know what, Chantal, I can walk around, I can go to the grocery store, I can go to the Walgreens with a pistol strapped on my leg. No one cares. People walk around all the time with their firearms showing. Sometimes it's a long gun, sometimes it's a handgun, sometimes they've got a shoulder holster, you can't even see it because it's under their shirt. But concealed carry is perfectly legal. So we're, all of us are packing in one way or the other. Everybody's got a gun. We're the most liberal state when it comes to owning a gun, and we're enormous states. And you said, everybody, lots of shootings in the United States. So where else do you think you would find shooters than in Texas, of all places, right? Surely we're at least equal with Syria and how many people die every day of gunshot wounds, right? Wrong. You're completely 100% wrong. So let me just give you a list of shootings in Texas that resulted in deaths, homicides. Okay, I hope you're listening, Chantal. Sincerely, I'm trying to keep you alive. I'm trying to make sure that you are alive. This kind of thing makes me so angry that people are so foolish with their lives. Commercialization is the downfall of the Western world. We're not talking about commercialization. We're talking about people that will kill you, Chantal, for any reason. They'll kill you for any reason. They don't need a reason even. Man, this makes me so mad. All right, y'all, hold on. I'm sharing something else. Here's the list. Hold on, let me take a drink. 2023, Austin, we lost 6 people in a shootout, basically. And then in 2023, we lost 9. And then in 2023, we lost 5. So that was a total of 20 people in a year. Chantal, you guys in Syria, you guys are 60 to 100 to 200 people a month. I'm sorry. Yeah, a month are dying in Syria. It's not even on the same playing field. And then look at this. In 2022, there were 20 people that were killed at Robb Elementary School. There wasn't anyone killed in 21 or 20. And then in 2019, there was a small shooting at the church. Crazy guy went in and shot a church up. 3 died. Then 8 died in Odessa. And then 23 died in the El Paso school shooting, or I'm sorry, Walmart shooting. So in a whole entire year, there were 34 people that were killed. You know how many that is per month, Chantal? 3. That's 3 a month. You guys are getting 9, 10, 15, 20, 30 a day. I don't know if we're communicating. I don't know if she's smart enough to listen to someone who knows. And that was 2019 was horrible. 2018, the big school shooting, that was Santa Fe. People still devastated by that. And then in 2017, we lost 38. Again, that's only 3 or 4 a month, Chantal. You guys are losing on average 10 a day. 10 people are being murdered a day where you live in a place that is 1/6 the size of where I live, just in Texas. Okay. And then I've made my point with this. Okay. It's crazy for her to even try to make herself feel better. Try to even make herself feel better about the fact that, they have school shootings. They have shootings all the time in the United States. Well, I've just shown you how small Syria is compared to all of Texas, and how many people we lost in a year to shootings. These are not mass shootings. These are not just people just counting up like the horrific shootings. This is in total. So in 2023, you had 20 people in a year. They have some days, just about 7 or 8 days ago, they lost some 28 people in one day. It's taken us a year to lose 20 people or 28 people, Chantal. And I'm not even, we're probably the worst state for it because we are an open carry state. Anyone can have a gun. Maybe California and certainly Illinois, they both have some serious gun issues too, but it's not going to be. Houston has become downright dangerous. I will not even get on South 45 at the end of the day. I do all back roads on the way home because of the people that are, threatening gun violence all the time. That's how many we're losing. We lose in an entire year, Chantal, what you people in Syria are getting in a day, or if I'm kind, in a week. I don't know how much clearer I can make it to you. I'm showing you United Nations white sheets that these are verified numbers that go out to the diplomats, to the military. You're getting the actual numbers. I'm telling you. I'm showing you reality. But you go ahead. You're smarter than everyone else, okay? And Shmi, for God's sake, don't you give her a dime. Do not wire her not a penny. You cannot do it if you want to save her life. Buy her a plane ticket, have it sitting for her at the airport, but you cannot give her a penny if you want to save her. All right. Now, let's see. Team Psych Ward, the nerve of her to bash capitalism in the US when she makes money off of both. And that's so hilarious, right? Hound Lover. I laughed so hard when she was talking about how, oh, she's going to clean her house as soon as she's got some solid electricity. And some countries, they've got lots of money and they're going to come in and they're going to rebuild. Well, you might want to check with the United Nations on that too, Chantal, because right now they're looking at about 72% of the area will have usable electricity in like 7 to 10 years. So good luck with that. For your house not to be cleaned for 7 or 10 years, oh well, don't know how to help you. The ignorance of this one person is just staggering. It is really staggering. Hey, KJ, should we try to save her? She seems to want to martyr herself. I get that, right? I do understand that. But I'm not sure that she's really there. I'm not really sure that she is truly radicalized to a point that it's in her heart that she's herself as a freedom fighter. I think she is primarily 100% motivated by a need to have a man love her. I think that, and these are, you have to understand this too, these young men that are looking for brides, what we call ISIL brides. These young men are in fact looking for women who have no identity, who have no ego strength. They are feeding off of Western women, even young women. They are finding them online, and then the presentation that they take to them is one of like this sort of Romeo and Juliet, this intense star-crossed lover phenomenon where the evil people in the United States, or in this case Canada, or it could be France or wherever, that the evil governments there want to keep them apart. And that if Islam, if Sharia law was in place around the world, then there would be no borders, and all the real true lovers that are meant to be together, then they could be together. And so they sell them this Disney delusion that is on steroids. And it convinces this young girl. Now, she is not a young woman, but she's definitely someone that is struggling with identity, right? But they will convince them that all they have to do is get together, and then all is fine, all is well. And they will tell them, you're going to have a house. If they're in an area where they can have a car, they'll get them a car and a driver. And when they get there, they're treated incredibly well. When they get there, they're provided a house, they're provided new clothing, they're made to feel like a princess. And is Chantal in here? Did she come in? Well, anyway, if she does, I hope she'll listen to me. I don't have anything put up just yet, St. Elmo. They're very well treated when they get over there. What Chantal said about the Uvalde school shooting would make your blood boil. Absolutely, team. Oh, it was just horrific. One of her statements is that the parents did not keep their children safe. Yeah, she is definitely being manipulated. She has definitely been radicalized. However, I don't believe Okay, how can I say this and not say it? Hold on, let me think a minute. So the goal is first to win their hearts. And they win their hearts by this star-crossed lovers kind of manipulation. Love bombing like you have never seen before. Okay. Love bombing that can make an old lady that is way overeducated feel like, oh, I want to be in love like that. Like crazy. It's really quite remarkable. And they get this woman, and it's not always just young women. I think I'm losing y'all. I may be getting blocked. Hold on. I may have to do something else. Hold on. I think I'm back. Can y'all hear me? Put a one if you can hear me. Yeah, I don't have anything up just yet, St. Elmo. It's not just young women that are targeted. Any woman can be targeted. I mean, even older women are prime targets because they're lonely and perhaps they have quite a bit of money and resources. And so, they'll get a handsome middle-aged freedom fighter that will say, "Oh, I've lost my wife. I need love so badly. You're so very beautiful." You know, I'm not going to even go into it's gross. Anyway, um and then when you get over there, even though you're being smart and you think, well, I'm only going to take a limited amount of money, I'm only going to stay for a week to meet them, it is like all of your fears are silenced. It's like your dreams have come true. And he won't like be all handsy and try to jump in bed with you. You're treated like with the utmost respect, put you up in a 5-star hotel. I mean, they lay it on thick. And even in some circumstances, I've seen where some of these women have been taken out and given beautiful homes in the middle of, like the agricultural land. Beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful places with chandeliers, and everything. But here's the problem: there has to be something in return. So you get a husband, and he's only too happy to have a Western bride, because as soon as he has a Western bride, he's being given a nice apartment or a nice house. He is also benefiting directly by being able to snare a Western bride, or to bring someone in that has money, right? That has available resources. And so they become good friends because they're both benefiting from this arrangement. Now, she thinks it's all about love. He knows it's nonsense that he's being rewarded for having this person. But here's where the problem goes bad. The problem goes bad if he gets killed, because the minute he gets killed, then she is in a situation where she's either forced to pick another husband, and it could be they may give her 5 choices and they're all like awful, terrible men. It's not like she gets to go date around and find someone. No, 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 no. They'll come in and they'll say, here are your 5. If you're lucky. Now, if you're lucky, I think the norm is probably, here's your new husband. But there are some circumstances where the woman has access to a lot of financial capital. She's been able to bring in other women in and gotten them married off to freedom fighters. And then in those circumstances, they'll say, we have, husbands that would like to take care of you, and here's 3 or here's 5, and which one would you like? Right? Now, I want you to imagine the horror that you've lost your spouse someone that you've bonded with, right or wrong, or maybe he was horrible and ruthless to you. That happens too. And then in the midst of, he's been killed, and then 3 days later they show up and say, oh, here's your new husband, who immediately has rights to your body. Now you're living in real hell. Like at this point now, you're living in hell. And any of these men, they don't have to let you stay in the beautiful villa or in the nice apartment. They can move you out to a different place if they wish. Now, a lot of them that's kind of frowned on because you're valuable. If you buy into the fantasy and if you're being treated well, doesn't that mean that you're more likely to convince other girls to come and take a husband? Doesn't that mean that you're far more likely to get more money out of your bank and bring it into the country to use? So they're not stupid, y'all. They're very, very smart. They know what they're doing. And I also think that they have very little capacity for love. I think that their religion, the way they are raised, in many circumstances, I think it grooms them not to find value in love relationships with women. I think they bond heavily with their friends, with their same-sex friends, their freedom fighters. They bond very heavily. That is where they get their support, their affiliation and their camaraderie. But the women are different. The women are a tool. And they I'm telling you, they can play up the romance, the love. They're just actors. They're just going through the motions, and they can change shockingly fast. Like one minute you're thinking, look at this couple, they seem to be okay, everything seems to be safe, and then the next minute she's been, cut across her throat. So it is the way you will die. Maybe you don't die today, and maybe you don't die next week, but each passing day you're getting one step closer, because ultimately that moment will find you.
Managed to accumulate some clips of some of the surrounding areas we have been to and my journey here. I will do a lot more vlogging, inshallah, especially of the more touristy areas. So stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks for watching. So without further ado, here are some clips from my journey so far. So my journey starts with flying from Istanbul, Turkey to Beirut, Lebanon. I flew 9.5 hours from Montreal, Canada to start to Istanbul, and then I had a 12-hour layover there before flying to Beirut. Here I am staring at the departures board, and he gave me an ice coffee.
So this woman, I want you to imagine this. She travels from Toronto. I don't remember. No, I think it was Montreal. She travels from Canada to Istanbul and then to Beirut, Lebanon. And then she's picked up by a complete stranger at the airport. I want you to think about that. I don't understand where that confidence comes from, or is it just abject stupidity? Is it just a lack of just self-preservation, right? Even animals have self-preservation. Like if they're all standing around and a strange car drives up to your house, they don't all go running out there wagging their tails to greet the stranger. Stranger gets out. Some of them may walk away and get behind the humans. I've even had a dog that would leave and go behind the house to get away from the stranger. And then other of my animals would run growling, their hackles up on the back of their neck, ready to, take somebody's knee out. But the point is that nobody just goes, oh, I don't know you, but you can take me. Oh. And yet she did. What you're looking at here, she travels from Montreal to Istanbul, and then she goes from Istanbul to Beirut, and then a guy comes up and says, "Hey, I'm here to help you. Here's an iced coffee and a bottle of cold water. Now you get in the back of this car and I'm going to handle all your immigration needs at the airport in Beirut and also drive you through the border into Syria, where I will again work with your documents. You just sit in the car, and then I'll drive you on into Damascus." Like, I can't even, I don't know what you are. I'm actually don't know of a way to express how self-destructive this act was. Do you know that when I go to, let's say, Italy, if I go to Italy, there's a lot of guys that will come up and they'll say, "I have a taxi for you," or "I have a car for you." They're just looking for people that look, like maybe they don't belong. They're not regulars there. They don't live there, and then they're trying to get you to come and take their car, right? Never, ever, ever take one of those rides. Never. Don't do it. Do not do it. You do not get in a ride unless you yourself arranged for it with someone at the airport. I'm talking about inside the airport, an official person. Never do it. You're much safer to get on public transportation. Get on a bus, get on a rail. Do not take a private taxi or a private car when you get there. Once you get to your hotel, then your concierge can arrange you with a safe driver, because people are hungry in today's world. So just don't. Just please don't. And this is unbelievable. Like, this is incredible. Even when we went to Israel, we arranged ahead of time. Our company reached out to cohorts in Israel, and then they had a group, and their security people met up, and we had security with us the entire time. We didn't just have somebody show up and go, "Hey, I'm here for you." Oh my gosh. When I saw this, I heard this, I was just mortified. I was just like, my God, I don't even know how you would ever get her back to Lebanon. The only hope I think she has at this point is to get on an airplane in Damascus, but how's she going to get to the airport? So it we'll see, because she lived 3 years. Listen to this. She lived 3 years in Kuwait. She can't speak Arabic. She can't speak Arabic. And she wasn't speaking Farsi. I don't know why they said that. Some people said she was speaking, that maybe they said that Salah was speaking Farsi, but it wasn't. It was just like colloquial Arabic. So anyway, so she gets in this car with a strange man in Lebanon, of all places, and he proceeds to drive her in 3 a.m. People, you can't make it up. 3 in the morning, they drive across into war. That's basically what happened. All right. So
Coffee and a water, and we were on our way. I decided to go the land border way into Syria from Lebanon instead of flying into Damascus, just because it was recommended that that's just a better way to go by other travelers. So here I am in the taxi. I've never been to Lebanon, so I was actually, or Syria, but I was actually taken aback by the mountain ranges and just the kind of hills, the winding roads as we were driving along. It's about probably about 5:30 a.m. here. I arrived in Beirut at 3 a.m., but the border only opens at 6 a.m., so we had some waiting to do before we could cross over.
Notice the abject poverty. Oh, and listen, So notice the green, green, white, and black. So green is Islam, right? And the black is obviously for Al Qaeda. Notice that is representation of their new flag since they now have an Al Qaeda president. So that's the new flag. And on the video that Chantal put up, she, it was very cartoonish and kind of rose-colored glasses looking, and she's waving a Syrian flag, but it was the old flag under Assad on her thumbnail for this video. And I left a comment and I said, wow, you are in the most dangerous country in the world other than the Congo. Literally, you're in the most dangerous country in the world, and you have not researched anything. You have no idea where you are, and you couldn't even get the flag right. And then within maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes, she had made a new thumbnail and put it up, and now she's got the right flag on the thumbnail. So good job, Chantal. At least you listened that time. So that was great.
Here we are finally in Syria after what felt like a million-hour journey. I'm finally here. And just like in Lebanon, I was taken aback at how beautiful the landscape in Syria was.
Notice the flags everywhere? Do you see that in the United States? No. In fact, in the United States, people are burning the flag. You would not dare to do that in Syria. If you tried to burn one of these flags in Syria, they would kill you. Anyone would kill you, and then they would be a hero. Green is for Islam, and the black is for Al Qaeda.
Everything was just so gorgeous. There were a lot of the new.
It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous, Chantal. I'm sorry. I can't, Chantal. This is bullshit. Let's just be honest. Because I do think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Salah, he would agree with me. Right, Salah? This is beautiful. Someone died in that car. They were basically bombed. How it's beautiful? What's beautiful? What's beautiful? I don't understand what's so beautiful. Like, these are hills. These are not mountains. They're just hills, and they're scrub grass hills at that. What's beautiful? What? Okay, Chantal, you have got to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself so that you can keep yourself alive. This is not beautiful. This is dangerous. Okay? So at the very least, let's just be honest about what it is. Let's define things accurately. Let's take all this emotion that you have and let's reframe it into factual statements. This is not beautiful. This is tragic, and this is ominous.
Revolutionary flags with the 3 stars, and I just was enjoying taking in the scenery. So many mountains.
Those are not mountains. Those are hills. That's all. They're not even close to mountains. They're not escarpments. They're not mountains. They're not volcanoes. They are what? Hills.
And just like in Lebanon, Syria had a very similar landscape, I noticed.
Is this beautiful? I just want to be factual. That's all I'm asking for. Just the facts, ma'am.
I was amazed by the olive trees in Syria. I love olives. Like, olive is literally in my middle name. So,
is that right, Olivia? It's in your middle name. And the smell of olives is in the air. Is that what you're telling us? Gee, that is incredibly strange, because when you pick olives, it's like a month's process before it actually becomes an olive that's edible. How does it smell like olives when your olive itself is actually a pickled vegetable? You are not being honest with yourself. You have cracked and you have left honesty at the door. So the first step, the first hope of self-preservation, survival, is honesty with yourself. Nothing you have to speak out loud, nothing you have to let your husband know that you're thinking about. But for God's sake, so Chantal, at least be honest with yourself in the quiet, dark recesses of your mind that nobody else ever goes. Please be honest.
And there are a lot of trees like this together. You can actually smell olives as you drive past. Olives are one of Syria's most ancient agricultural products. Olives have
Wikipedia.
to be cured or brined for several weeks, though, so it's not like I can just pick them off trees and eat them. But
That's
nonetheless,
right.
here we are driving around and past many olive trees. And the olive trees are not just in farm areas, they are too, but they're also just in like urban areas, like right up.
And can I be honest? They're ugly. They're really, really ugly. We're just being honest here, Chantal, because we're hoping to save your life, okay? These are ugly trees. And one of the reasons that olive trees are very ugly is because they just hold a lot of like sand. They're just sandy and dirty looking kind of trees. They kind of look kind of dead, kind of. They're not beautiful, big, heavy oaks. They're not these beautiful sugar maples that turn red, you know, the kind that are everywhere in Canada. They're ugly. They're scrub brush. They look like scrub brush. Just trying to be honest, Chantal, trying to keep you alive.
Side of our apartment pretty much as well. By the way, you might hear fan noise as I'm recording because it's pretty hot here right now. So
And it's such a weird thing because when I look at this right here, it looks so remarkably like a very specific area of Cairo, Egypt. And I don't, at first, I thought they're lying. They got to be they're in Cairo. But I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this might just be like a standard kind of, you know, architectural thing. But it's so weird because the same companies have their advertising up, and it's some of these clips just make me think it might be El Mahdi or New Cairo. It's weird, kind of
but driving in more populated towns like
like
Damascus can be kind of hectic, I will admit, especially as a foreigner. I didn't drive luckily, and nor would I want to attempt to, but as you can see, the
right
narrow roads in between buildings are quite bustling
here.
at times. There are people walking.
So this looks like a grocery store. What was the name of that grocery store? Something Market. I'll have to ask my husband. I can't remember. This actually looks like Egypt. That is Bill. What was the name of that grocery store that was in Maddie that was like right on the corner? And I told you my mom and dad lived upstairs there. Had the apartment that was above it. Something Market.
Metro Market.
Metro Market. No, was that? Look, come here, look.
Metro Market.
See this? Look, this is the grocery store right here, and it looks like they've like pulled curtains across. Is that it? It looks just like it, doesn't it?
All that over there looks the same.
I know, but that corner right there, even the walkway down to the left, it just looks like that would have been the sign.
Yeah.
But I told you my mom and dad lived in that apartment that was above it. I don't know. It's weird. All right. He's not sure if it is either because he says, "Oh, it looks the same," and it really does. But anyway, it's probably not. But very definitely looks like Metro Market corner in Mahdi, Cairo, Egypt.
In the middle of the road, and you must beep your horn, and they will just move out of the way. There are many small businesses and shops along either side of the street. These small shops, which are like convenience stores here in Syria, are called dukkans.
And again, you sincerely, you would think you were in Egypt.
No, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but
and that looks like the Metro Market where my mom and dad lived in this apartment upstairs. That's so weird.
I am, after all, just an English-speaking Canadian woman. We stopped at one of these stores to get cold water, but because Syria has regular and prolonged power outages throughout the day, the shop owner and many others didn't have cold water or even any electricity at all. So livestock on the side of the road, maybe for purchase, or they belong to someone, I'm not sure. And
Well, what do you mean maybe that belongs to someone? It's sheep. Of course they belong to someone. And here's a little bit of FYI. So you notice how the tops of these buildings are unfinished. Like obviously these are new builds, right? But the top is unfinished. They did not put walls on the top. Very often you'll see where the top will have walls, but they won't have the roof over it. The reason that they do that is to avoid paying taxes. So if the building is unfinished, then they don't have to pay taxes. And you'll see the building will be completely full, everybody living in an apartment, but the top apartments will not be completed. And then you'll have like homeless people living in the unfinished part.
Kids and just people in general, but especially kids, love to drive in the back of these trucks here with like the cage on the truck bed, and they hang on to it. This was making me extremely nervous for the boy in yellow, especially. I was saying, get on the truck, get on the truck. And here we have a bunch of flags with a big building. And I was told it's, I think it's a university.
Now, please notice it's a university. And where are the women? If this were Cairo, there would be many, many young women outside as well as young men. All of them would be going to university. But that's not what we're seeing here. You're seeing only men.
So could be wrong about that, but that's what it was thought to be there on the right. So I don't really have much else to say. You're going to see a lot of buildings that look kind of dilapidated in between functioning buildings, but I'll just enjoy these clips here.
And then you see all of like the dirt on the side of the road and the sand and whatnot. That is not from war. It looks exactly like that in Egypt, and Egypt hasn't had a war in a very long time. It's just construction, right? Their populations are in a very, small, heavily condensed area. They're always building. They're always tearing down and destroying old stuff to bring in new stuff. And they just push all the dirt and all the concrete, up into a pile, because they'll then later come and collect it and use it when they're building the next building.
Of Syria, it between the dilapidated buildings, there is a beautiful landscape, just like these mountains.
And even this, again, it just looks so much like Egypt that you can't even get past it.
Between the
and she's saying, oh, look at the beautiful mountains. These are not mountains. These are hills. You could climb up to the top of them in probably 3 hours. They're not anything. They're nothing. I don't know why she's calling them mountains. It's very strange.
Dilapidated buildings, there is a beautiful landscape, just like these mountains.
And do you find these? Is this actually a beautiful landscape? Well, let's be honest. Is this a beautiful landscape? Remember, Chantal, we're trying to save your life, honey. This is not beautiful. There's nothing beautiful about this. And your flag that's flying up there, that just looks dirty and ugly to me, because it's a representation of people that want to kill other people because they believe differently. That's just a symbol. That's just a symbol of evil and oppression to me. Can we just be honest? You got to start being honest in the quiet depths of your mind.
Here. And so, yeah, that's it. Here we go.
And do you notice that everything is dirty? Everything is dirty. There's dirt and sand on it's on everything. And you can't get it off. You can't get it off the buildings. It doesn't hardly ever rain. It does in Syria a little bit more than Egypt, but it's very dirty. And without water, without running water, without electricity, you can't even keep the sanitation in order. It's a constant battle in Egypt, keeping everything clean and sanitary. People die of diarrhea over there all the time. All the time. Dysentery is there. If you're taking Imodium, Chantal, you better get your butt to, you need someone to test to see if you have a bacterial infection or if you have a viral infection. If you have a viral infection, you'll be okay. If you have a bacterial infection, you're going to die. So get it tested and then go to Lebanon and get you some antibiotics, okay?
Why did the chicken and her chicklets cross the road?
Probably because there was a man chicken over there. Probably because there was a damn rooster there, and the chicken would be willing to put themselves in life's danger just for a rooster, Chantal.
The soil here in Syria, in particular in the mountainous and valley regions, is red.
There's no valleys. There's no mountains. They are hills and they are ditches. Maybe a holler.
Also known as Mediterranean soil. And these are the only camels we've seen so far here in Syria.
You want to know why, Chantal? Because no one can afford a camel. That's why. Because camels are expensive. They're expensive to buy and they're expensive to maintain. They need water and they need food. That's why you hadn't seen any, because nobody's got any money, Chantal.
We passed by this KFC knockoff called KFG. I don't know what the G stands for, but apparently they have crispy.
And she thinks it's funny. She's laughing and giggling and thinks that this is hilarious. I look at this as a symbol of just how desperate times really are.
Chicken.
And again, notice how dirty everything is. It's filthy. You can't keep it clean without water and with a lot of electricity. No one has electricity, and there damn sure isn't any water.
Other dishes. So stay tuned for that. Now, this next series of clips is very sad, quite sad. It's the remains of a war-torn country and from the Syrian civil war. So,
you want to know what's really sad, Chantal? What's really sad is that Al-Qaeda, ISIS, that they did this. That's what's really sad. What's really sad is that the people of Syria were living just like the people of Egypt or the people of Iran until the insane Islamist assholes got a hold of everything and destroyed their worlds, covered the women up, stopped young girls from getting educated. That's what's sad. What's sad is that green and black flag. That's what's sad. That green and black flag, that's what bombed out that house right there.
So I've just compiled a bunch of buildings that have been bombed, and a lot of them are in rubble. And these were once people's homes.
Yeah,
so it's really
normal people, regular Muslims. Some people were Coptic Christian. Some people were atheists. They were all living next door to each other. It was a secular government. There was capitalism in place until your little friends came to town.
Really sad. The ones that are not so bombed are littered with bullet holes. It's just
your husband's friends did this, Chantal. You don't even realize that, do you? You don't even know that. Like, you have listened to the bullshit and you have convinced yourself that Bashir al-Assad, that he is the problem, that he did this. That is not what happened at all.
So surreal to be driving past and seeing this. And what was more surprising to learn is that there are people still living in these ruins in their home.
Why is it surprising exactly? Like, where do you want them to live? You want them to go to the Intercontinental Hotel? Like, you want them to go to a 5-star hotel and have caviar and shrimp etouffee for dinner? Is that like where do you think they're going to live? There are no jobs. There's no humanitarian aid. There is no hope for the future. There is no long range plan, at least not something that will be done in the next 10 years. What do you expect them to do? Name of the game is simply just survival. Here where I live, we get hurricanes, right? We get hurricanes and our water gets wiped out and our electricity gets wiped out. And we may spend 2-3 weeks living like you're living right now. But in no way do we embrace it as something wonderful. You're just an idiot if you somehow think that this is good for you. You're lying to yourself, and even worse, you're an idiot if you think that this is good for Julia. That cat has never been in the 100-degree heat. That she is not acclimated to that. She is acclimated to lower temperatures, just like you are, just like Salah is. And you guys didn't even know enough. Like anybody from Florida or like Louisiana, anybody done those areas that have dealt with hurricanes before, they would tell you, like, if you don't have electricity, the very, very basic minimum that you have to have for housing, you have to have the ability to open 2 windows. Why do you need 2 windows open? You need the air to be able to come in and the air to get sucked out. And then it creates a natural fan, right? It keeps the air circulating, the air's moving, and then you feel, cooled down, right? Oh no, Salah, unprepared, has no idea how to survive in a life without electricity and water. He goes in and he gets an apartment with 1 window, 1 single window. You guys can't stay there. You're not going to be able to make it through.
And I would say probably because they don't have much choice, sadly. And my heart goes out to the people of Syria. And inshallah,
your heart goes out to these people because it was the people that are down now in Dara that caused it. They did it. So while you're being all, virtue signaling and being all holier than thou, please educate yourself. I mean, I know it's going to be hard to do because Salah is watching everything that you're doing online, that he's watching everything that you're reading. He's watching anything and everything you're putting into your mind, isn't he?
It can soon start to rebuild from being such a war-torn country. And of course, there are revolutionary 3-star Syrian flags everywhere. And we even, on this day, had one taped to the hood of our car.
Oh, gosh. Why do you think that you had an Al-Qaeda flag taped to the hood of your car? Is it because the driver didn't want to get killed by being an Assad loyalist? Is that why? You didn't even think about that, did you? Okay, now this idiot is going to tell you that she is enjoying the valleys. This is the land of the valleys. Look, we're going to talk about this, Chantal.
So on this particular day, we went and explored some valleys.
This a valley? Is that what this is? Okay, I'm going to ask the people in the chat. Okay, I'm curious. Would you guys call this a valley? Or would you guys call this a ditch? What would you call it? It's a ditch, KJ said. Okay, look, we country girls, we know the difference between a damn ditch and a valley, okay? Do not feed me, baloney and tell me that it's ribeye. I know better than that. It's an aurora. It's an illusion, right? It is a dust-filled, muddy, bombed out ditch. Nothing more and nothing less. Look, a girl from Kentucky knows a damn ditch when she sees one. I can promise you that. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Chantal, I'm just a little curious here, honey. Who told you this was a valley? I just need to know for my own, personal enjoyment. Salah? Salah said, "Oh no, we must go look at the valleys. They're very, very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. It's no problem, Sheila. It's no problem." It's so dumb. Girl, you in danger. You are out of your league.
I don't really know or remember the name of this location. There's a little bit of water there. Now, that canyon, that valley used to be full of water, but there.
Oh, so now we've gone from it being a valley, it's a canyon. Chantal, look, you in no way are you prepared to be an ISIL bride. You just aren't. You have no awareness of anything. I am worried about you. Like, you are in danger. A lot of different sorts of danger, okay? You are in danger. It looks like to me that maybe it was like a little walkway, like a little bridge maybe that was here. That's not a house. That's like a footing for a column. You can see, whoops.
There's been some droughts, so unfortunately that's all the water that there was. Now here's me trying to climb back up from going all the way down, and it was quite a workout. It wasn't too hard.
I have a question too, Chantal. With your weight and the way that you carry like the greatest majority of your weight in front of you, did you give even the slightest thought to what would happen if you tripped and fell forward and tumbled on down to the bottom of the canyon? Like, did you think about that? How would you have gotten out? I'm just like, I really want to know if you thought about that. Now, granted, it's not very deep, okay? Look, it's not, these are not houses. You're not looking at a big, 10,000 foot mountain with cave dwellings. That's not what this is. You see this house back over here? Use that as your quarter, your dime, to compare the size. This is like some kind of footing that maybe there were pipes going through the little openings. This is not, it might have been a house that was here. That looks maybe like it's a foundation, maybe like it was bombed out. It's just this little puddle here. You're not looking like deep down into the crevices of the Grand Canyon, and this is a house. This is probably only like 18 inches, 20 inches tall. But really, you see it's almost a straight down. What would she do if her weight pulled her forward? This is just a drainage, like a clay drainage pipe. You can see it's round here, and then there's two places here for pipes. It's just like an agricultural drain. You look at it and you go, "Oh my God, those are houses. They're so far down there." No, they're not.
Know or remember the name of this location. There's a little bit of water.
What if you fell, Chantal? This is what I'm talking about. Like, you have no worry about, your ISIL husband. You have no worry about falling down this canyon into the bottom of the valley. I don't know. Where is the instinct for self-preservation? Like, is there anything in you that says, I want to live? And see, you can kind of see the like electricity lines running through here. See what I'm talking about? This is not a deep, these are not houses. You're not looking at houses here.
Water there. Now, that canyon, That valley used to be full of water, but there's been some droughts. So unfortunately, that's all the water that there was. Now here's me trying to climb back up from going all the way down. And it was quite a workout. It wasn't too hot. Actually, there was a nice breeze in the valley, but oh my goodness, this was a workout for me. As you can see, I'm trying to waddle up the mountain, but I also got to get some different clothing. So maybe some lighter clothing. But
you know what you got to do? You got to get your ass back on an airplane and go back home to Shmee so that your mother can put you into a hospital and get you stabilized on some medications, because this is insanity.
Yeah, here I am just taking my time in the valley. It was a very nice day. Excuse me. Just taking a break.
Why was it nice? I don't want to be hateful. Explain to me why this was nice. Does this look like Lookout Mountain? Melissa's from Kentucky. There's all kinds of beautiful places to stop and ooh and ah at valleys. And what is she oohing and ah? What are you looking at here? I don't understand. Oh yeah, Mississippi Mud Pie, you got it. Hit the nail on the head. Oh my God, Lolo. It scares me to death. I don't know, butterflies are free. I think she's still with that damn driver from the airport. It's incredible. It's incredible. I just can't believe it. Wonder what she would think about our nearly 12,000 foot volcano, Mount Hood. Exactly, Zelda. Now that is beautiful. Impressive.
Because it's a lot of exercise for somebody who's used to a sedentary lifestyle, but we've been going out and doing walks like this and just enjoying Syria's various landscapes. And I'm going to end this vlog by showing you what we picked up for lunch.
Of course, we got to look at the food, right? I will tell you this, and I don't mind saying this. I loved being in Egypt. Obviously, I was there for nearly 10 years. I would not eat this food for the entire time I was there. I never got to the point that I would eat this food. And the reason that I would not eat this food is because I was a Westerner and my immune system was not the same as the people that grew up there. I have different bacteria and flora than they do. And me eating that food would make me violently ill. So I just did the safe thing. I cooked my own stuff, or I went to like one of the really nice restaurants that had a lot of like expensive tourism stuff and felt safe eating there. They had Chili's. We would eat at Chili's quite a bit. My husband and kids ate a lot of pizza. I'm not much pizza eater, but yeah, I wouldn't eat street vendor food. Not at all. Never.
To eat in the valley area, some chickens that were really, really delicious. I made shawarma with them. So thanks for watching, and a lot more vlogs, inshallah, from Syria to come.
All right. So there will be that. What do y'all think? I hope she doesn't have her on this travel. My biggest question is no electricity, no water, no bath or personal grooming. How does Salah? Wait. That makes me want to gag. They have a shower, Zelda. They have to pay for a big container that holds their water like up on their roof. And so I think they get their water like once a week or a couple of times a week. Costs them $7 every time the water guy comes and refills the water. But listen, no hot water, only the cold water or water that's sitting up on the roof. And I'm sure the sun does keep it pretty warm. What are they going to do in the winter? Because unlike Egypt doesn't get cold, right? Egypt just has spring and hotter than hell. That's the only two it has. It has really nice, beautiful weather and then hotter than hell. But Syria has true winters. What will happen to their water? Will it freeze? I don't understand how that's going to work. So they do have water that they can take a cold shower, but there's not very much water, so it's got to be pretty quick. And she also shared with the world that they do not flush their toilet. They wait until somebody has defecates, and then they'll use water to flush the toilet. And if you pee, you just leave it in there. You don't flush. Yeah, I don't even want to think about the smell. I don't want to think about the smells. I don't want to think about the germs that are because here's what I'm talking about. So urine, when urine leaves the body, it is sterile, right? And they will teach you, if you go to these kinds of areas, survival skills, basic 101. If you get stuck in a desert or you get trapped in rubble or something like that, the very first thing you do is you look for a container so that you can save the urine, because the urine becomes the hydration. So as soon as you pee, you have to drink it, and you can keep yourself alive for like 30 days doing that. Okay. But you can't, you don't just let it sit there and save it. You have to drink it immediately so it doesn't have time to grow germs, because the urine it's sanitary as soon as it leaves the body. However, it's like a petri dish. It is the perfect growing medium for bacteria. And so as it sits out, now you have many, many different types of bacteria that are growing in that urine. And maybe it's bacteria that is coming from the water. Maybe it's bacteria that came from the air. Maybe it's bacteria that was in your own body, but because it was sterile and kept a certain temperature, the bacteria could not proliferate. But then when you go to the bathroom and you let it sit, it will begin to grow the bacteria and they will begin to multiply. So survival 101, you can only live 3 days without hydration. You can live 30 days with no food, but you can only live 3 days with no hydration. And so your urine is completely sterile the minute it leaves your body. You have to drink it immediately. Do not save it and wait, because then you're going to make yourself sick because bacteria is going to grow. But you can drink it right then and it won't do anything to you. It'll keep you alive. You can stay alive until you can find some water. So I just don't want to think about two people urinating in a container and it sits there for how long? The smell has got to be ungodly. He was not born in Kuwait. He was born in Syria. I don't know how old he was. I think he was like 8, 9 years old when they moved over to Kuwait. No, maybe I got that wrong. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, that 8, 9. And so his father is very educated. He's a very well educated, smart man. He had a very nice job, or has a very nice job. The family is very well educated. His sister is an artist, well spoken, beautiful, normal person. And so, no, Salah is not prepared for what is happening in Syria. He's not ever had to live like this before. So he doesn't know these things, right? Like I said, they got an apartment that has literally one window, and the apartment that he had when he met Chantal didn't have any windows at all. So he he's not a wise, streetwise person. And so they're at an extreme disadvantage. It's actually really sad. And I sure wish that I could convince her to get out of there. I feel really and I know that there are a lot of people, and I think this is not good. There's a lot of people that are trying to convince her to stay. They By her staying in this situation, she's got content, right? And they're going to enjoy watching her suffer, which I don't understand that. I don't understand the level of hate. She is messy. She is hurtful to people. She has really been abusive to cats. But I don't think you want to strand someone in Syria. You don't know what you're talking. You don't understand what that is. If you did, you would not wish your worst enemy there. You really wouldn't. It's I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to be quiet now. Let's see. So he used to prison in a way. Oh, I mean, maybe it was like prison with the one window. Yeah. But wouldn't you think, waitress, wouldn't you think that an apartment with only one window, wouldn't that probably be a very inexpensive apartment, or no windows, especially in a place that gets super hot? So, you take a country boy from Kentucky, you take them over there and they're looking for an inexpensive apartment. They're going to choose a single room that's got 2 or more windows over a 5-room mansion with no windows, right? They understand survival. So yeah, and you don't want to be in a you don't want to be like out alone where you stand out, where people notice you. It's actually much safer if you're trying to hide. It's much safer if the deeper into the ghetto or the barrio, the what do you call it? The clustered, poverty-stricken, low SES areas. You're much better off to get a tiny apartment in the middle of all those people, because those people don't care about you. They're just trying to survive, right? They're not the ones that'll hurt you. But if you use your money to get a really nice place, a standalone house, people looking at you, you're in danger. When the Arab Spring started up, we were in Egypt. We lived in a place that's called New Cairo. And we did have a very beautiful villa. And so when we had a lot of employees that worked like for the house that we lived in, that we had drivers, we had cooks, we had people that cleaned, we had gardeners. So we had a lot of people that wanted us safe, right? Because we were kind of helping everyone that lived around us financially. But when the Arab Spring started and things got really curious, then the man that we were renting the villa from, he was a colonel in the army, the Egyptian army. And so he actually had some of the soldiers come in a tank, and they parked the tank in our driveway facing out, with the turret facing out. So had the guns facing outward. So that was kind of, believe it or not, that was kind of comforting to have a tank guarding you, So that was Egypt. Like, that's another thing, Chantal. Egypt is probably the most liberal of all the Middle Eastern countries, correct? It is a real boiling pot of different nationalities and many different types of religions. And the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, they are not well received in Egypt at all. And this is a country that is 93% Muslim. They do not want the Brotherhood there. They do not want Al-Qaeda there. They do not like that at all. And even there, Chantal, when the uprising started, which was really primarily fueled by the college students, when that started, even an army, a colonel from the Egyptian army knew there was danger and moved a tank over to protect his property. If that level of awareness and self-preservation comes from a colonel in the Egyptian army in Egypt, what do you think is really going on in Syria? I cannot impress on you enough, Chantal. You are as close to death right now as you have ever been in your life. Right now, there are people watching you. Right now, this second, they have paid some little kids, some teenagers, to just sit and watch everything that you and Salah are doing. I don't think you understand that. I don't think you understand that you are seen as a millionaire to those people that are watching you. And those people are hungry. Interesting how they know to use college students. Of course they know how to. They've been radicalized. The college kids were radicalized, and they found out real quick that those same people that were filling their heads with, pie in the sky dreams, that they lied to them. The very first thing they did, the college students started the Arab Spring. The good people of the nation were like, yeah, we could do better than Hosni, even though Hosni and Suzanne were amazing. As soon as they got them out, what did they do? They inserted the number 3 royalty of the Muslim Brotherhood as president of Egypt. Number 3 in the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, people were horrified, like the little people. My friends were weeping. They were horrified. They're like, no, we don't want this. We don't want this. We do not want Sharia law in our government. No. And when he came down, and I cannot remember, must have been about 8 months after he was inserted with the help of Barack Obama. Once Morsi was inserted as president of Egypt, with the blessing of Barack, the people of Egypt, about 5, 6, 7 months after he was inserted, he said that they had the Sharia Council. They had no need for the Egyptian Supreme Court. And he was going to dismantle he did dismantle the whole court. The law of the land, secular law, which meant the government was different than the religious leaders. And do you know what the people of Egypt did? All Muslim. Like only 8% of the population is Coptic Christian. All Muslims. You know what they did? As soon as Morsi came out, a Muslim Brotherhood bastard, as soon as he came out and said, we don't need this. We don't need the Supreme Court. We have the Sharia Council. We all know Sharia law. We're going to make Sharia law the law of the land. We don't need these, Supreme Court justices. They're westernized. As soon as they did that, the people of Egypt spilled out of their homes and into the streets. And I mean every one of them. It didn't matter if they were 90 years old or 9 years old. They all emptied their houses and they were in the streets. If the people were too old to walk, their sons would put them in a chair and carry them on their shoulders. You'd see like 2, 3, 4 men carrying an old lady sitting in a chair. They came out en masse and they said, Morsi has to go, Morsi has to go, Morsi has to go. And it was finally the General Sisi, who finally said, I love my country. I work for the people. I do not work for the Muslim Brotherhood. And they took Morsi and his entire cabinet and arrested them, and they remain in jail today. And now they have elections. Everything's gone back. So Chantal, I'm giving you perspective of what real secular Muslim culture is. You are in the jungle of Al Qaeda. Like, I don't know how else to say it. I'm expressing to you absolute fact. There is a reason, Chantal, that countries have not stepped up to help Syria. Your president in Syria was best friends with Baghdadi in Iraq. Oh my God. I'm not even going to repeat myself anymore. She's not going to listen to it. B12 deficiency presents as fatigue, weakness, neuropathy, brain fog, confusion, mouth sores, and more. Chantal is going to be bedridden when her body is depleted of B12, and that comes from meat sources and sunshine as well. Assad and his wife were educated in the West. There was outside interest in ousting him. Certain Western politicians had over and over again. This meddling happens. I'm sick of the meddling, KJ. The CIA can go jump and whistle Dixie for all I care. They have caused the root of the world's problems, in my opinion. All right. Hey, Rebecca Scott. Okay. I think now my new video has been uploaded. So I will be going through that, and I'll make that live in just a little while. If you guys have not subscribed, I really do hope that you will. Please subscribe. And if you can hit the thumbs up, that will help as well, just a little bit. And I appreciate that. And a lot of people, unsubscribe because they don't really want to see me doing this kind of content. I traditionally, talk about true crime, missing people, extraordinary trials. And, this kind of falls in my lap as something that is kind of like, let's just call it a passion project. Okay. Not Chantal. She is not my passion project. My passion project is giving women of the Middle East identity and freedom within themselves, for them to learn to care for themselves and take care of themselves independent of the men that are in their life. And I'm absolutely horrified that Chantal has placed herself in Syria. It is incredible. And Salah, here's my opinion. If you have trouble, if you have known ties to ISIS or Al Qaeda, then that may be what caused you to leave Kuwait so quickly. However, if you left Kuwait because of your fear of the charges that were going to happen because of what Chantal did, I think that you are safer, and I think the hope for your future is brighter if you go back to Kuwait and you get an attorney and you follow the letter of the law, and then whatever punishment they give, follow through with it and learn from this experience. I don't think there can ever be a situation in the next 20 years that Syria is going to become something that you are going to be able to embrace and enjoy. What is there? You enjoyed traveling. You enjoyed going to Thailand. You enjoyed seeing things that you had not seen before. You will not have that as long as you are living in Syria. And Chantal will never go back and face the music and stand for whatever the punishment is. But, maybe Shmi can help her get on a stable footing, emotionally. There's great medications, Chantal. There's great therapists out there to so that your emotions don't feel so overwhelming. And for God's sake, you got to stay off the drugs because there's a cost. You may take the drugs and they make you feel good in the moment, but that's because they're depleting the available serotonin. And it's going to take you up to like 4 days for the levels of serotonin to build back up in the synapses. When you take these medications, like you called it medication, the gummies and whatnot, when you take that, you're forcing your brain to like dump additional serotonin that it really doesn't require. And that's what gives you the feeling of intoxication. But then the cost is you don't have enough serotonin for the available receptors for several days. And you feel very, very depressed, very, very tired. There's an overwhelming sense of guilt. There's an overwhelming sense of doom. And all of those emotions are stemming strictly from low serotonin. The best way to battle that is to get out and take like a 30-minute walk every day. And that will absolutely cause your brain chemistry to normalize. But I don't have any illusion you're not going to do that. So there are medications that can help you feel more stable. And there are psychologists that can help you learn to reframe your thoughts so that your emotions don't feel so overwhelming and so awful that they lead you to make self-destructive choices. Like saying, I got a great idea. I'm going to go to Syria. All right. Romance scams. There it is. Net detective. Thank you. You're absolutely right. It's incredible how bad it is. Rampant. It's awful. Really, really awful. All right. Hey, deranged bunny, how are you? Perhaps they believe they're getting in on the ground floor. They'd certainly think that, KJ. I think that I heard Salah say something like that. But they haven't educated themselves on exactly what that looks like. So even if they get in on the ground floor, they're not the UN says there'll be no running water for at least 7 to 10 years. And if it's Dara, that's an area that you can't even go back to your house unless you're one of them, Salah. So if you're able to come and go and they're letting you have your family home, then the CIA knows who you are. All right. I hope you will subscribe. I hope you will hit the thumbs up. And I hope you will come back and watch my video that I am going to release, I think tomorrow, because I want to go through it and see if there's anything that I need to clean up on it. But this is a long live, 2 hours. So you got plenty to listen to, don't you? All right. I hope that you guys have a great evening. And I won't be back for a couple of days because I got stuff to do. Lots of stuff. But we will go out on, how about this?
Yeah. And I burn that channel. Send it go. Sinister grifters with a snake oil grin. Voracious virtue signalers cashing in. False PIs, they're fixing the game. Pointing fingers, but they're all the same. Innocent creators, moms with a cause. Digging through the chaos, exposing the flaws. We're hunting for clues, untwisting the lies. Who's driving this shit show straight to demise? Convertibles roaring, cliffs in sight. Like Thelma and Louise on a forever ride. They sail into YouTube fame, the crash is in sight. We're all on the ride, no brakes, no trust. Popularity is the spark that'll burn their channels into dust. Or it'll burn their channels into dust. Dust. That'll burn their channels in the dust. Spark that'll burn their channels in the dust. Dust. It's in the dust. That'll burn their channels. It's in the dust. That'll burn their channels. What's in the dust, the dust, the dust, the dust, the dust, the dust. We're all on the ride, no brakes, no trust. Popularity is the spark that'll burn their channels in the dust. Dust. Yeah, and I burn that channels. Sinister grifters with a snake oil grin, voracious virtue signalers cashing in. False PIs, they're fixing the game, pointing fingers, but they're all the same. Innocent creators, moms with a cause, digging through the chaos, exposing the flaws. We're hunting for clues, untwisting the lies. Who's driving this shit show straight to demise? Convertibles roaring, cliffs in sight, like Thelma and Louise on a forever ride. They sail into YouTube fame, the crash is in sight. We're all on the ride, no brakes, no trust. Popularity is the spark that'll burn their channels in the dust. Or it'll burn their channels in the dust. Dust. Spark that'll burn their channels in the dust. Spark that'll burn their channels in the dust. Dust. It's in the dust. That'll burn their channels. It's in the dust. That'll burn their channels. What's in the dust? The dust. The dust. The dust. The dust. The dust. We're all on the ride, no brakes, no trust. Popularity is the spark that'll burn their channels in the dust. Dust.